Good morning everyone. I am Dr. Seema Wirtz and today I am going to give a talk on motion of rigid body. The objectives for today's lecture are, we will be going to define the center of mass, we will explain why the motion of rigid body is a combination of translational and rotational motion. We will also be defining moment of inertia and discuss the physical significance of moment of inertia. In this, let us start what is a rigid body. A rigid body is a one in which the separation between the constituent particles does not change with its motion. So, what does this definition implies? This implies that the shape of the rigid body is preserved during its motion. Examples of rigid body are a solid body like cricket ball, a wooden block, a steel disc, or thin moon. Well, the question arises, is a heap of sand is a rigid body? We say a heap of sand is not a rigid body because any disturbance can change the distance between the two particles. How the rigid body is different from point mass? Well, a point mass is an approximation in which the distance between the two bodies are very large compared to their sizes. Therefore, their sizes can be ignored and treated as a point masses. The examples of point masses are the size of stars which are very small compared to the size of galaxy. Therefore, the stars can be taken as a point particle. Now, when we have discussed about the rigid body and the point masses, let us talk about the center of mass of a rigid body. Consider a two particle system, that is 1 and 2. A particle 1 is at height z1 while the particle 2 is at height z2. There is a point C which is midway between the two and it is at height z. Well, the force on the particle 1 and 2 is mg and the total force acting on the system is 2 mg. If we calculate the potential energies at 1, then it is mgz1 while at 2 it is mgz2. Similarly, at point C we have the potential energy as 2 mgz. To find a point C in the system such that 2 mgz is equal to mgz1 plus mgz2. This means that the center of mass we have z equal to z1 plus z2 upon 2. It shows that C lies midway between the two particles if the masses are equal. Let us see what happens when the masses are unequal. Then the equation changes and we have m1 plus m2 in brackets multiplied by g and z, it is equal to m1g z1 plus m2g z2. When we rearrange the equations, what do we get? We get the final equation as z is equal to m1 z1 plus m2 z2 divided by m1 plus m2. Therefore, the point C is having this coordinate and it is called as the center of mass of the system and it is basically a mathematical tool. Now, we should define Cm. The question arises, why should we define Cm so precisely? The force acting on the particles 1, 2, 3 which are along x-axis, then A1x denotes the component of acceleration of particle 1 along the x-axis and so on. Therefore, we can write the acceleration, that is the force max along the x-axis is equal to m1 a1x plus m2 a2x plus so on, where ax is the acceleration of the center of mass along x-axis. Similarly, we can write our equation along y-axis as well as z-axis, which is may is equal to m1 a1y plus m2 a2y plus so on, and similarly we have maz equal to m1z a1z plus m2z and a2z. Then we will now come across, that is, we will just combine these three equations into one. We have force ma is equal to m1 a1 plus m2 a2 plus m3 a3 and likewise. m1 a1 is the sum of all the forces acting on a particle 1. We have m2 a2 is the net force acting on a particle 2. Therefore, in the above equation, the right hand side is the total force acting on the body. Since we have discussed about the total force, now let's see what kind of forces act on a body. There are two kinds of forces that act on a body. First is an external force, which is due to the sources outside the body. Second is the internal force due to interaction among the particles. The example is cohesive force. In a rigid body, the sum of all internal forces is 0 because they cancel each other in pairs. And the sum of all external forces is responsible for the acceleration of the individual particles of the body, which is given by ma is equal to F external. So, now we can define, that is Cm. The Cm of a body moves as though the entire mass of the body were located at that point and it was acted upon by the sum of all external forces acting on the body. Now, we got the answer to our question that why do we define Cm so precisely? Because there is a simplification introduced in the derivation once Cm is defined, and we need not deal with millions of individual particles now. Only Cm is to be located to determine the motion of the body. Also, motion of Cm is determined by the external forces and internal forces have no role to play. Let's consider the path of Cm in case of a projectile motion of a body. For this, let's take up this figure. There is a bomb which is being thrown and it has a projectile motion. But what happens, this bomb explodes midway. All the fragments, they are being distributed in the air. But the path of Cm, it remains unchanged. Here, there are 2 points to be noticed, that is the explosion is caused by the internal force, while the external force due to gravity, it remains unchanged. Therefore, the gravity, it remains the same. Therefore, the path of the Cm, that is the center of mass, instead the particles are distributed here and there in the air, it remains same, that is parabola in case of the projectile motion. Let's consider the center of mass of some bodies. Let's we have a triangle. Then the question arises, what is the position of center of mass? In a triangular plate, the point of intersection of 3 medians is a center of mass for a triangle. Now you can see the different shapes, that is a circle and a polygon. Then the Cm lies at the geometrical center of the figure. Similarly, for cylindrical shape and a sphere shape, we have again the geometrical center of the figure is the center of mass. Similarly, we can find out for the other shapes like that is pyramid and cone. On the line joining vertex with center of base, we have at the h/4 of the height measured from the base. Figure with the axial symmetry, you can say we have Cm at some point on the axis of symmetry. Similarly, figure with center of symmetry that you can see on the left hand side, we have center of mass at the center of symmetry. Now, things to be remembered about Cm. First, Cm may be outside the body, that is in case of a ring. Also, when the two bodies revolve around each other, they actually revolve around their common center of mass. The best examples are stars in a binary system, Earth and Sun system. In Earth and Sun system, the mass of the Sun is very large compared to the mass of the Earth. Therefore, Cm is close to the center of the Sun. Let's talk about the translational motion of the rigid body. As you can see in the figure, there is a block sliding down with a particle V. There is a point P1, that is a particle P1 we have considered, and it remains the same when the block slides down and it moves with the same velocity V. When a rigid body moves in such a way that all its particles move along parallel paths, its motion is called translational motion. So, a translational motion can be categorized by the motion of its center of mass, that is ma is equal to F external. Definition of translational motion. In a pure translational motion, at any instant of time, all particles of the body have same velocity. Let's talk about the rotational motion of the rigid body. A ceiling fan, a potter's wheel, a joint wheel in a fair, and a merry-go-round have one thing in common. That is, first, they have a fixed axis of rotation, and second, the only possible motion is a rotational motion. Therefore, what do we have to say about the rotational motion of a rigid body? That is, in rotational motion of a rigid body about a fixed axis, every particle of the body moves in a circle which lies in a plane perpendicular to the axis and has its center on the axis. Let's talk about a motion which is a combination of translational and a rotational motion, and the best example could be cylindrical rod just rolling down an inclined plane. We have taken an irregular shape of the cylindrical so that we have different points, that is P1. We know that when the cylinder rolls down, the P1 position changes. So, the rolling motion of cylinder down an inclined plane is a combination of rotation about a fixed axis and translation. That is, the combination of translation and rotational motion, it can be defined in a way, that is, the motion of a rigid body which is not pivoted or fixed in some way is either a pure translation or a combination of translation and rotation. The motion of rigid body which is pivoted or fixed in some way is rotation. Let's come to moment of inertia. What is an analog of mass in rotational motion? Well, the answer to this is very interesting term, that is moment of inertia. Let us consider a plane lamina which has a center of mass at point C and it rotates about an axis through this point. Suppose particles of masses m1, m2, m3 are located at the distance r1, r2, r3 from the axis of rotation and are moving with the speeds v1, v2, v3 respectively as shown in this figure. Let us consider this rigid body of arbitrary shape. For this, to calculate the moment of inertia, we have drawn a different concentric circle, first having the radius r1 and a particle of mass m1 is located here. Then we have taken another concentric circle which is having a particle of mass m2 at a distance r2 from a point O. The particle of mass m3 at a distance r3 and this lamina is rotating about an axis which is passing through the center of mass. Now, let us calculate the moment of inertia of this plane lamina. When this plane lamina is rotating with velocity v, we will consider each particle moving with their respective velocity v1, v2. Now, let us calculate the kinetic energy of particle 1 which is equal to m1 v1 square by 2, the kinetic energy of particle 2 which is m2 v2 square by 2 and so on. If T denotes the total kinetic energy of the body, then we can write T is equal to m1 v1 square by 2 plus m2 v2 square by 2. This is now equal to summation mi vi square by 2 where I is going from 1 to n particles. Now, this summation indicates the sum over all the particles of the body. We have studied in lesson 4 that angular speed is related to linear speed through the equation v is equal to r omega. Now, we will substitute this equation in the above equation. We get T is equal to summation I is going to 1 to n mi ri omega whole square divided by 2. What do we get is T is equal to I omega square by 2. That is where I is equal to the term summation over I mi ri square which is called as moment of inertia of the body. So, whenever we mention moment of inertia, the axis of rotation is always specified. What is the unit of moment of inertia? It is kilogram meter square. Let us talk about the definition of moment of inertia. The moment of inertia of a rigid body is given by I is equal to mk square, where m is the total mass of the body and k is called the radius of gyration of the body. How do we define the radius of gyration? Well, the radius of gyration is that distance from axis of rotation where the whole mass of the body can be assumed to be placed to get the same moment of inertia which the body actually has. The moment of inertia depends on the several factors. First, the moment of inertia of a body about an axis depends on the distribution of mass around that axis. If the distribution of mass changes, the moment of inertia will also change. Moment of inertia of a body depends on the mass of the body, its shape and size. It also depends on the position and orientation of the axis of the rotation. We have a very nice application of moment of inertia, that is a flywheel, which uses the property, that is moment of inertia is the measure of rotational inertia of the body. The machines such as steam engine that produce rotational motion have a disk with large moment of inertia. The flywheel, it resists the sudden increase or decrease of the speed of the vehicle. It allows a gradual change in the speed and permits jerky motions, thereby ensuring a smooth ride for the passengers on the vehicle. Let's talk about equation of motion of a rigid body rotating about a point O. For this, let's consider the figure in which there is a nail being attached at a point O. Here, this is a plane lamina and we take an axis which is passing through O and we have a particle P which is located here and denoted by point P. We rotate this lamina through an angle theta so that this is being rotated and our point P, it reaches P dash. So, what can we write about the equation of motion of this rigid body which is rotating about an axis which is passing through O? First thing is that we have theta is equal to omega t and there is an angular velocity if the body is moving through an angle theta, which is denoted by initial angular velocity, that is omega I, final angular velocity which is omega f, which is given by omega f is equal to omega I plus alpha t. Now, here there are another two equations that we can write, that is theta is equal to initial angular velocity, the time taken to rotate, plus half alpha t square. What is alpha? Alpha is angular acceleration. Similarly, we have another equation, that is omega f square, that is final angular velocity square, is equal to initial angular velocity square plus 2 angular acceleration multiplied by theta, the angular displacement, which is in t seconds. So, in a way we have now discussed the equation of motion of a rigid body having a rotational motion. Let us consider in this chapter what we have learned so far. A rigid body can have rotational as well as translation motion. The equation of translation motion for a rigid body may be written in the same form as for single particles in terms of motion of its center of mass. If a point in the rigid body is fixed, then it can possess only rotational motion. The moment of inertia about an axis of rotation is defined as summation mi ri square, and last but not the least, the moment of inertia plays the same role in the rotational motion as does the mass in the linear motion. Thank you.